Yo, 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 yo! Welcome to another episode of the joeZONE podcast. Today I have with me, where do I start? Director, writer, actor. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Christo Davids.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm very honored to be on the show.
Thanks for joining me today, man. We were just talking before the show, before we started, and we were saying you got quite a lot of information on your Wikipedia. You said you didn't even know, so I was looking at it yesterday, and your career started quite young. You started quite young with your career. You started when you were 11.
Yes.
So, and that was on Onder Engele, am I right?
Yes, that's correct. 94.
1994.
Next year, that will be 30 years.
30 years in the movie. That is quite a challenge. Accomplishment to have started so young, especially in 1994. There's not a lot of people of color that was maybe on TV at that time.
No, we still had TV1 back then. And I come from a family of actors.
Is that so?
Yeah, my grandfather was Goliath Davids. He was Phila's husband and Phila's kind and Yankee's dad and Yankee kom huis toe. He played my grandfather in Onder Engele.
Okay.
In 94. So he was also in 1980 the first colored guy on TV with lines to say.
Is that so?
In a production called Harry's Kid. He was very good friends with one of our great writers, Adam Small.
Okay.
So he was the first professional kana.
What is his name?
His name is Goliath Davids.
Goliath Davids was one of the first people of color to have words on
national television, yes.
It was like TV1 that back in the day.
Yeah, I don't even know. Yeah, I think it was called TV. I think it was just called SIK.
Yes, that's going back. So obviously he was in the industry, and then how did you get into the industry? What is the process? Did you go for audition, or what is the process?
I definitely auditioned because there was a lot of kids that auditioned for Onder Engele.
Okay.
And these guys went to schools around the country and auditioned people, and then my
is that Goliath Davids? Sorry,
yes, that's
cut your words. He looks familiar. I've seen him.
Yeah.
He's a well-known actor.
He's been around the block a couple of times.
Sorry to cut your words in. So you say you were auditioning with other kids?
Yeah, there was a lot. There was 200 kids that auditioned. My grandfather at the time was already cast in the production.
Okay.
He wasn't at audition stage in 94 anymore. So he then prepped me for this audition.
Yeah.
And then I went to go do it for Anthony Wilson. And a month later, they called me back and I went into audition again. I think I auditioned 4 times. And then eventually they said, okay, right, cool. We choose you.
So how did he prep you for the audition?
Well, he taught me poems, for one, Afrikaanse gedigte. And those were the things that I took in together with the dialogue that was given, the audition script that was given, because they wanted to see what else you can do and how well you can read, things like that. But fortunately for me, I could read before I went to school. So, and I've always been an avid reader. I've always loved reading or reading about reading. So it's always been to my advantage to read. You also build a hell of a knowledge about a variety of things to anybody out there who's wondering if they should start reading.
It's easier you become a better writer as well the more you read.
You do. Your communication becomes better if you read. Your conscious structure becomes better if you read. Your argumentative skill becomes better if you read because of the knowledge that you have. Sometimes people read the headlines in a newspaper and then they want to have a conversation about it. And
that's true, yeah.
Never read the follow-up article.
Yeah. Especially now in today's age with clickbait being, sensational headliners is very much the appeal of today's trend.
Yes. So then we packed and we went to go live in Joburg for 4 months.
Okay.
To shoot the series, a 13-part TV series that was the first time that a series based on people of color, brown people in South Africa, that took place in District 6 was broadcast at prime time. It was broadcast on Tuesday night, 7 o'clock. Yeah, 7 after the news. The news was still on at 7 then.
Sure. So you shot there for 4 months, and what was that like? Like, I mean, you were 11 years old. Like this.
It was just a jolt. It was just fun because it's a studio, you know. And the other thing as well is that my grandfather also was my tutor. He was my teacher as well.
Okay, so on set he was helping you.
I was doing school while I still had to get through standard 3. What is standard 3 today? Standard 3. Grade 5. I still had to go to get through all the grades. So I was in what people today call homeschooling.
Okay.
I was homeschooled by him for quite a while. I went back for a full year of school again when I was in standard 9, grade 11.
So you left school at grade 5, and then you went back at
full year, because you'd be in school for the first 2 months of the year, and then you'd go off to go shoot Mulanders or Hagenheim or whatever it is that you were in at the time.
Okay.
And back in the day, TV series took quite a while to shoot. You know, today people shoot films in 3 weeks.
Okay.
Back then, if you had a 13-part series, you were shooting for 4 to 5 months on the same project. So it took me out of school for quite a while.
Okay, so during that time, during grade 5 and grade 9, you were working all the time. You were working as an actor.
I was a working actor, yeah.
Sure.
Until I got to grade 11, standard 9. And then my grandfather said, okay, right, you need to finish this grade. You moet standard 9 matriek klaarmaak. You know, so that you can become something.
Your grandfather sounded like he's a very knowledgeable man.
He was a knowledgeable man, and he also had probably the greatest influence in my life, considering the lessons that he taught me and the way he went about raising me. That has turned me into someone with a bit of confidence, with a slight idea of where he is or might be going.
Yeah, man, it's good to have role models like that in your life, and I think a lot of people don't have that. So for you to have somebody so knowledgeable and strong-willed, he seems very strong-willed and be able to do what he done at the time.
Yeah.
We all know what it was like to achieve something like that. I mean, a person of color on TV in 1980 is like, wow, it didn't happen, like, you know what I mean?
It was a tricky situation back then.
Yeah, it was probably him and Charlene Surti.
Charlene Surti Richards played my grandfather's wife a lot. They were together in Villa se Kind.
Yeah.
They were husband and wife. They were husband and wife at the Baxter Theatre in Juno and the Peacock. They were husband and wife in Halfman's Punt. They were husband and wife in quite a few other plays. Hulle het baie man en vrou gespeel.
Okay. So were you just acting in series and television during that time when you were your young period between, what was that, grade 5 and
So
grade,
what happened
grade 11?
was that our school, the school that I was at in Heidelberg, Kairos, one of my teachers there was an English teacher. She started a drama group at school.
Kwaai.
And my grandfather was a great influence on that drama group. So was my uncles, Lloyd Davids and Peter John Davids, who are also actors, writers, and directors in their own right, on a professional scale. And she started a drama group, so we did a lot of theater.
Okay.
By a concert go, you know, and we also
Singing?
we went to, no, it was all drama.
Okay.
We went to the ATKV Tiener Toneel Competitie and the Fraserburg Festival and all those things. And then the Kairos Drama Group became a very formidable group. From there is Theodore Jantjies, who now plays the pharmacist whose name I don't know in Zuidooster.
Okay.
He was Zander in Sevenland for a long time.
Yeah.
And then there's Maurice Page, who was Calvin in Isidingo, who's
I know
now
Maurice Page, yeah.
who's also in Zuidooster, where I'm not sure who he plays in Zuidooster. But we're from the same street.
Oh, he's all from the same street?
We grew up together. We all belonged to the same drama group. We were basically trained and raised by the same people.
So this drama group like brought forth like many South African actors.
It brought the three of us. It brought William Michaels.
Sorry, what's the name of the drama group again?
It was the name of the school was Kairos Secondary.
Kairos Secondary, and they had a drama
and
group.
they had a drama group. So it was the Kairos drama group. That's all. And William Michaels, who's also an actor, he's from that group. Robin September, who is a Fleur du Cap nominated theatre director, whose new play is opening at the Woordfeest in Stellenbosch at the moment. She's from that drama group. There's quite a few, but the drama group didn't just bring forth actors, my cousin Julma Geldenhuys she's a subject advisor today. That drama group brought a lot of people into this world that is contributing to society today.
Sure. Is it documented or written or a movie or anything speaks about this drama group? Huh?
Well, we talk about it.
But I mean, nobody knows about it. Nobody knows. You guys know about it, but the internet don't know about it.
No, the internet won't necessarily know about it. And I do think maybe it is a good time to start, writing down the history of this drama group because it's still going.
Imagine a Netflix series about this drama group from this one street that breeds forth like many actors and directors, writers. Netflix will love it.
You sure?
I think so. I mean, it's just the story alone is captivating me now. Like you mentioned like a few names, and I was like, oh, I heard that guy's name. I heard that guy's name before. I know Maurice pages, and I know who you are. I know who these people are, and you all, you're doing shit. You're doing stuff. That's dope, man. And these stories should be told because there's so much other areas and roads out there that positivity like that is not going down. You know what I mean?
I can see a movie where you guys maybe play yourselves, or I can see it. But the thing is, when you live your life, you don't realize the impact it has on the general public and how different it is to a normal type of person's life. You know what I'm saying? So I can definitely see it happen, dude.
No, it's true. You're right. If you're in that life yourself, you don't necessarily step out of it and go, oh, look at me. Let's make a movie about us. That doesn't necessarily happen. We get so busy and caught up in what it is that we have to do. And always trying to keep the standard moving and, going, okay, there's an audience coming in, there are people watching. How do you entertain by still maintaining the standard that you've been taught? How do you stay on top of your game? I think at the age where all three of us are at, because all three of us are 40 at the moment, it now reflecting back on it, you go like, we didn't turn out too bad.
Yeah, I think you turned out awesome, bro.
We didn't turn out too bad, but we also, when you work that hard, in a very tricky industry, where you are very disposable, it's not necessarily sometimes where there's also I think a matter of choice in it, because sometimes you are very fearful to talk about yourself because you're not sure whether it can be perceived as vain or arrogant. So you keep on focusing on the work and moving who you are away out of the conversation.
I hear what you're saying, yeah. I mean it sounds like you very... You're not cocky.
No, I try not to be.
You're not cocky at all. You're very humble. You're a very humble guy. I can see it. I can tell it by just a short conversation that I had with you. When you went back to school and to finish matric, right? You after that, what did you do? Did you go study law, maybe?
Yes. So after matric, I wanted to go study theatre.
You wanted to go study theatre?
Yeah, I wanted to go study drama at UCT.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget it. I worked out, I went to get the fees, how much it will cost, how to get in. I prepped the audition. I worked out if I stay with my aunt in Milnerton, I can take the Milnerton bus that stops in front of the castle and I can walk from there. I had it all planned out.
Yeah.
And I proposed the plan to my grandfather and he said, no. No, we're not studying drama. Oh. You can go study anything else, but not that.
Why?
I think by that time, for him, it wasn't a necessary thing for me. Because you've been doing it for so long. Yes, you can go get the degree in it, but what is that? You don't walk into an audition and people ask, so, where did you study?
Yeah.
What is your degree? People don't, I sit in the directing chair a lot, and I watch a lot of people audition. And that's not one of my questions. My question is, can you do the job or not?
Yeah.
Are you right for this specific part?
Yeah.
That I understand now. Dit was ek baie kwaad. So then I registered to go study IT at Cape Tech for some absurd reason.
Yeah. Okay.
It's also the
IT at Cape Tech.
the teenage revolt. But I never really ended up to study IT. I ended up studying LLB at the University of the Western Cape.
Okay.
At
UWC.
EVK. I went there.
What year did you go?
I started studying in 2002 and I finished in 2006.
Okay.
And those were, looking back on it, probably the 5 best years of my life.
Were you playing drums in the cafe or something
I
like
was playing drums in the cafe. I was at the barn. I was
The
at
barn,
Condom
the
Square
Rutgers.
Fridays.
The barn on a Friday. Yeah,
Yes,
here we go.
I was, you were a student. You were all over the place and you were debt free. And you didn't have tax and bonds and stuff.
Yeah, where did you live with your parents at that?
No. I stayed with my aunt in Belleville for 2 years.
It's close by.
And
Lekker.
then I moved to Pero, into a servant's quarter with my late friend Grant Hess, who studied law with me. And we moved into our good friend Marilyn Skeepers' mother's servant's quarter in their backyard. So we were quite
Best
sorted.
times.
That I'll never
own
forget
spot.
that auntie could cook. Eh?
Yo, so you had an auntie that cooked. You lived in the back.
Yeah.
The party was going. Lekker.
No, it was a good time. And today, looking back on it, you go, wow, it actually learned me. It learned me a lot about producing, about how you look at a contract, about how you negotiate a deal.
Okay, so that the law, while you were studying, you were gaining knowledge about.
Yes. Now I've made a series called Good Men that's about lawyers that we nominated for a SAFTA now for Best New Script.
Yes.
And I'm embarking on a new legal series called LLB.
Quite.
So the law has entered somewhere.
So we came full circle. And so you studied law. Did you graduate in 2006?
2006.
Okay, you finished it like.
Yeah, and then I went. But by then I was already doing a lot of other work.
So you were acting.
I was acting straight through varsity. I was in quite a few plays at varsity. We made movies, Forgiveness.
Oh, so you were making money or so while you were.
I was in Forgiveness. I was in A Boy Called Twist. I was in Dollars and White Pipes.
I remember Dollar Pipes.
I always say I had more work at university than I have now.
Can we talk about Dollars and White Pipes a bit?
Yes, of course.
Yeah. So who made that movie?
The film was made by probably one of the most prolific film directors in South Africa at the moment, Donovan Marsh.
Okay.
And it was based on the story of Bernie Baatjies.
Bernie Baatjies, yeah. That was played by Clint
Brink.
Clint Brink, yeah.
Yes. Very good friend of mine. And then I remember that audition process because both myself and Clint, we auditioned for the Bernie Baatjies character.
Okay.
We were the last two up for that part. And eventually the director said, no, Clint Brink, that's the guy for the role. But in this film, Bernie Baatjies also has a friend, Angelo. Would you be interested in playing that role? And I went, of course, it's a movie. You all need the money.
Yeah.
So we started that process and it was, in my opinion, quite revolutionary for the Cape Colored audience.
Yeah.
Because it's the first time I think that a story like that was set in a place like Hanover Park. But at the end of the story, there's success. It's about a guy walking out and making it.
Making it out of the ghetto.
But it shows you the whole trajectory of the character and what he's gone through. And I'll never forget when I went back to varsity after that film opened and people saw that film. That was an other time.
So you were famous.
You were famous, my bro.
Everybody had that CD, bro. I told Mark about the pirate copies of somebody used to buy it, copy, not me. But anyway, that time, I mean, everybody had that Dollars and White Pipes on CD. Everybody was watching that movie, bro.
It was quite it's got a cult following, you know.
Yeah.
Sometimes you'll walk around and people will go, "Oh, Angelo, say it." And I said, I can't, I'm 40 now, I can't swear like that anymore.
Oh man. So who funded the movie?
I think I'm not sure, but I know that Anand Singh and Helena Spring were the producers on the film.
Okay.
Donovan wrote and directed the film, and Bernie Barchis was the associate producer on the film.
Okay.
That I remember.
Because I'd be interested to know where the funding came from. Who would take a risk like that to invest in such a movie? Or was it a very tiny budget? Or?
No, I think what's the name? Mnet. I think Mnet was a partner in the film. I know that Anand Singh at that point is still probably one of the biggest producers in the country. I'm not sure if he produces anymore. But those guys knew what they were doing.
Okay.
So probably if they would, as any producer would, you try to eliminate as much risk before you go into production.
Yeah.
Before you make the decision to invest in a film or TV series or play, whatever it is, everything comes with risk, and it's the risk. But how do you manage risk?
Yeah.
Because that's what this business is centered. There's soveel risiko wat die hele tyd beweeg. The 1 minute everything would seem fine on set, and the next moment you'd hear, but there's a storm.
Yeah.
You can't shoot. But what do you do for those 2 days that you can't shoot?
It's a lot of money being wasted.
It's a lot of money that's going. Where does that go? But interestingly enough, the Dollars and White Pipes stunt team was Vernie, and I can't remember Vernie's surname now.
Uncle Vernie.
Which makes me feel very bad. But Vernie and Grant Powell.
I know Grant Powell was on the show.
Okay.
I trained jiu-jitsu with him.
Okay. Those were the stunt coordinators on this film.
On Dollars and White Pipes.
And one of the biggest reasons why the gang fight and these fights that they had look so authentic in this film is because the guys who choreographed it, they from there. Yeah. Ek as originally by Mitchell's Plain, my bros, allemaal 'n gang fight gesien.
Yeah, Grant Powell he was on the show and I trained jiu-jitsu with him, and he's actually in Lebanon
Lebanon at the moment.
Yeah, he's
working with Neil Blomkamp.
He's with Neil Blomkamp.
He always travels with Neil Blomkamp wherever Neil Blomkamp goes.
So Gary Joshua, he's actually my professor. Now, Gary Joshua, yeah.
Yes. Now Gary came to braai at my house one night in Johannesburg.
Is it?
Yeah. Gary and Grant. Gary is probably one. If I could make a movie about someone, I'd make a movie about Gary.
Is that so?
Yeah. And that guy's a fighter.
He doesn't want to come on the pod. He doesn't want to come. He's not a talker.
Yeah.
He's a doer.
And then you see photos of Gary with his, then he sees you and he goes, "Check, you're my daughter." And then you go, "No, but Gary, tell me about you." And he goes, "No, look here, my daughter."
So he fought in the EFC. He fought for a title. You know about that? Yeah,
I'm aware.
Yeah, he's an excellent coach, man. So he recently got his black belt. He went to Hong Kong to get his black belt. So now our gym is under GFT. So he's under GFT and we train under him. So yeah, but he's an awesome coach, man.
I love that guy.
That was interesting. So they doing stuff in Lebanon now, and this is where they. So what you're saying is, or what I'm picking up is that a lot of people that came from this humble beginnings, from this movie and the start, they grew and now they're doing awesome things.
Christian Bennett, Maurice Page, Brendan Daniels was in this film. There's so many of us that was in this film, and it was a lot of guys' first time that they were in a film. And today, Brendan Daniels is all over the place. We just finished a film with a series with Natalie Dormer, the girl from the Tudors and Game of Thrones. He's the face of Unseen on the Netflix poster. The same with Maurice and and people like Christian Bennett, who's on Arendsvlei, Maurice aan Zuidooster, and there's so many names in this film, that you can just go on and on about.
Yeah. Tell me about your Ellen Pakkies play. You did Ellen Pakkies on stage.
Yes, we did.
Yeah. What was that experience like?
That was I remember getting a call from Liz Meyring to ask about if I would be interested to work with her on a play called My Name is Ellen Pakkies.
Did you know about the story before then?
No.
Okay.
I had no idea what the story was. And then at that point, the story was on National Geographic, or one of the crime channels that they had. They were documenting the story there. And she said to me, then we had a meeting, myself and Liz Meyring and Vinette Ibrahim. And at that point, Liz didn't know that Vinette Ibrahim played my mother in Sevenland.
Okay.
So it was quite an interesting meet. And then I remember there was a rebroadcast of the documentary.
The movie or the documentary?
No, the documentary.
Okay.
And then a lot of publication or a lot of media has been done about the story because of...
Yeah, maybe we must tell for people listening, the Ellen Pakkies story is about a lady whose son was a drug addict, and she killed him.
She
murdered
took his
him.
life.
She took his life. So just giving giving the people some background there. So it's quite a hectic story.
It's quite a hectic story. And then I went to go watch the documentary, and I was quite shocked.
When you watched the documentary?
Yeah, because she told us the story, and Vinette Ibrahim knew about it, and Liz knew about it, and I wasn't in the loop with what the story was about.
Yeah.
But from what they were saying, it sounded very, tragic, And then I went to go and watch the rerun of it. And after I watched the rerun, I was very determined to be part of the project, because I knew that this specific play can touch a lot of lives, and it can change a lot of perceptions and perspectives of people. So we couldn't find funding to make the play happen. A lot of people were very scared to touch the story in such a way and make a play about it. So we took our own money.
Okay.
Between myself, Vinette, and Liz. Then we invested in the show. And first thing we did is we booked the Baxter Theatre, and we had a run at the KAK&K. But it's one of those, what do you call it, door deal runs.
Yeah.
They pay for nothing, but you can get what's at the door. And then we did the show at KAK&K. It opened there. There wasn't really a lot of publicity around it. We didn't have the amount of money. The new show didn't get that much attraction. And I will never forget, we opened there the Monday morning, and we had a very bad slot. We had a 9 o'clock slot on the arts festival. Nobody comes to watch theatre on 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Mine is babalas or breakfast or something like that. And then the show opened, and it was about a 350, 400 seater, but there was 100, 120 people. I'm sure those people came to watch Errol and Charmaine on stage.
Okay.
And the play kicked off, and the next day, the show was sold out. So, word of mouth, the show was sold out. And that same day of the second show, the 7 o'clock news was there. And they were interviewing us about the show. And after that, the run was extended, and they had to fill in 2 more shows. By the time we left Oudtshoorn to come to the Baxter, the show was entirely sold out for its entire run.
But people in Cape Town knew about that story more than the people obviously
yes. But people in Cape Town were very, very much aware of that story.
Yeah.
And then we came to the Baxter. The Baxter was sold out. We extended the run at the Baxter. And then we did the show for 3 years. We did the show as far as Amsterdam, Den Haag.
Shoo.
It was a very long run, and it was a very necessary play. Especially for where we are still at, we haven't moved away from it. But it was one woman's journey with her son, and the effects of something like Tik.
Yeah, and
to
what
me,
it could actually,
yeah,
what extremes.
That's the devil made it himself. Yeah.
Tell me, what was the emotional side like performing that? Like, didn't that weigh on you?
Yes, it did weigh a lot on you. I also never looked at photos of the son. I never listened to stories about him because I was in fear of judging the character that I'm playing. And I can't judge the character that I play. I can't go, he's wrong. I must play from the perception that he's right. That is misunderstood.
So you sympathize.
No, not even sympathy. It's just not listening to anything. It's cutting it off and just be truthful to what the script is saying and what your character journey is through this. Because you're not portraying someone who's alive. That I've done in the past. I've done Boykie in the Obas, and the Boykie, that guy in As of You Gods Play, he was alive. He came to watch the show. I played Chris van Wyk in Surely Goodness and Mercy together with Zane Mears, and Chris van Wyk was alive. He could come watch the show. But for the first time, I was playing someone who wasn't here. And because of what he has done and the tragic end to this man, it would have made my process of building or my process of characterization, in my opinion, very convoluted. And I had huge support from Vanette Ibrahim and from Liz Meyring in that path and in that route. And with Liz's direction of where she wanted to steer the play to, it didn't become so much about the tragedy. It became about the relationship between a mother and a son, and the dreams that the mother had for a son, and the dreams that the son had for himself, and how that went wrong. So that became the premise of it. Tik was there, but Tik wasn't the overhanging arch of what the story is. So in the second part of Ellen Pakkies, or My Name is Ellen Pakkies, after the boy is offed by his mother, she takes his life. In the second part of the play, his ghost comes back. And he's on the stage for the rest of the show. And they've got this conversation, Ellen has these conversations with her son that passed on. And he has conversations with her mother. So he sort of helps her through it, so that he needed to make her understand in the play that he understood why she had to do it.
I hear what you're saying. So you changed the ending.
No, the ending is of the look. There was a play long before there was a movie.
Yeah,
you understand what I mean? And I remember when talks of that film started, because initially we were going to play those roles. I was going to be AB, and she was going to be, and Vanette was going to be Ellen in the film as well. But then I don't think I was willing to play that boy anymore because of the emotional strain that it puts on you. And Vanette had her reasons for not doing it. I honestly think that Jill Lievenberg and Jared Geduld, who I both know very well, did an exceptional job.
They did.
With those two characters that myself and Vanette and Liz has devoted many years to. So the narrative of it, of any given story, is up to the interpretation of whoever writes that story. And if the play says it's fine, it's fine, but life goes on. It doesn't matter, the hardship hits, but what now? Because something horrible happens, the earth is still turning, the sun's still coming up tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
And I think that is one of the messages that was in that play, because I will never forget. One woman brought her son to come watch the play, and she got him out of rehab for the night to come watch the play in the theater. And I think he lasted like 15 minutes, and they walked out. And then I thought, oh, okay, because you were sort of not used to, but you knew that people walked out of the show because the show it's a theater production, is right in front of your face. It does have a different effect on you. Like theaters will always have a different effect than film or TV.
Yes, 100%. Or, stand-up comedy is 100% better than if you watch it on I believe.
And then after the show, sorry, my apologies. When I came outside, we came outside, the show was ended, we were on our way out. This mother and son were still sitting there outside the theater. He couldn't leave the theater because he just saw a piece of himself. And they were sitting there, and we were talking, and obviously someone in my position, I don't know what to say to people. I'm not trained in that way. You know, so I always sometimes try and not steer away from something, but start the conversation with, listen, I'm not trained in what I'm going to say to you. What I'm saying might not be helpful, but it's coming from me. It's how I see life. This is my lived experience. It's not necessarily your lived experience, but you know, have faith. Tomorrow might be better.
I mean, that story alone and the emotional strain that I think there was. Even when you watched I watched the movie. I was unable to watch your play. I'm gonna come watch your play soon on the 13th. We'll talk about that later. But I feel that you can feel that emotional strain in that performance, even in when he's like crying, mommy, he like rattles on the gates, and he like the way he's acting is like, ugh. And it just feels like a emotional burden even. And it's difficult, man, because the story is there, it's true. And I don't know, like in your play, I think that maybe she had closure. But my question is like, am I right saying that?
In the play, she didn't have closure.
She didn't have closure?
No, she says at the end of the play, I have to live with what I've done. Every day of my life, I have to go on and live with what I've done. That's the end of that play. So she can't, the end of the play was, I will never be able to forgive myself.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I wanted to understand. Like, it's like, is the ending like better? It's not. It's
no.
It's
no.
There's no dollars in white pipes and the guys walking out of the.
No. That's a wrong concept.
Yeah, it's a hard topic. It's a difficult topic, and there's something else I want to ask you. Like there's this constant narrative that in the movies or people say that colored people are depicted a certain way. Like it's almost like in negative light always and stuff like that. And I don't believe this. I think that there's something I wanted to say recently to Roscoe. I think that we actually, colored people are actually doing better. I believe that each generation, we're slightly doing incrementally better. This is what I believe. If it's really happening, maybe yes or no and stuff like that.
I do believe it's happening. Munira Salis just made a film that's being released soon called Old Righteous Blues.
Yeah.
And Old Righteous Blues is about the Christmas choirs, you know, and the Christmas choir competitions.
Yeah.
And it's based and rooted in music and one boy's fight to keep a legacy alive. There's a lot of it. There's a lot of these films out there that take a film like Numai Skoli. Yes, Numai Skoli is based and rooted within what gangsterism and the effect that it has on someone, but what a valuable story to watch. So sometimes we can go, yeah, it gaat die hele tyd net oor gangsters. If you're going to put a story in Hanover Park, there's a chance a gangster's going to walk past, man. You know, daar's 'n kans, you know, how do you tell that and you go, oh yeah, but let's do it without gangsters.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that all our narratives is made up out of, or should be made up out of it, but it shouldn't also, you can't just turn a blind eye to something.
I actually had a conversation with a politician Monday night about this very same thing.
So this is what we are going to get to. We're gonna get to that. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Now, if you we can unpack it.
So Mark Lawton came on and he spoke about how the tick epidemic inspired his show, and a politician didn't like what he said. And according to the politician, is we should stop showing the negative side of the Cape Flats, which I kind of agree. But in my humble opinion, is artists, rappers, DJ, we inspired by our surroundings, and we are the journalists, if you will, man. And politicians don't see it that way, but it's an ongoing thing this week. Really.
Look, there is a difference between stereotyping, right, and the truth. There's a huge difference between those two things. I agree with the politician like you do when he says that we can't just show the one part, we should show the other part.
I don't
But
think-
there is a lot of positivity that also happens within an area without trying to delete the negative and say it doesn't exist. Why don't we take the negative story and turn it into a positive story?
100%. And in that clip, sorry, Nantel, in that clip, I think that Mark was not talking about Heidelberg in a negative way.
Bonteville.
Was it Bonteville?
Bonteville.
Sorry, it was Bonteville. So I don't think Mark was talking about, and I don't think that's not him, man, to talk about Bonteville in a negative way. He was simply illustrating, yes, it's a bad place, but he was also highlighting the positives in that place. So like, and that's exactly what you're saying. If you're going to go to a Novapark, most likely you're going to see a gangster or something like that. Most likely somebody's on tuck there because that's what's really happening in those areas. But I don't think he was pointing it in a negative light. And that politician, I feel that he's just, I don't know. I didn't like his vibe. I didn't like his vibe because he is sitting in his ivory tower and saying like, this is how it is and stuff like that. But anyway,
I digress.
I digress. We're talking about the narrative, and I do believe that there is positive stories out there. I believe that incrementally we are getting better. I have done better than my dad. I want my son to do better than me. And if we keep just doing better in that way, if we keep just moving each generation up and stuff like that, that is all we need to do. We just need to get better. And things are better than the past generation. In my dad's lifetime, maybe he was not able to buy in every single area in Cape Town. I am lucky enough, I can choose where, if I have the money, I can go live in
London now.
If I had, I've gone. But the point is, before you were unable to live in the other areas. You know what I mean? There was something called the Group Areas Act where you were unable to do that. Now, that is no more there. So, if you want to get somewhere and you really, really apply yourself, and I acknowledge there's a lot of social ills in our communities, but if you really, really try and you try to avoid all those social ills and overcome that, there is a possibility that you can get incrementally better within where your father was or his father was. And that's all you need to do. You get better by generation and the other generation get better.
We should also just acknowledge that the social ills that is pointed to a lot in general all over is not a brown people problem. It's a universal problem. It's a political problem, it's a social problem, it's a problem that crosses all races and all genders. It's not defined to a certain group of people. Sometimes it's easier to target and to go, there's the problem, but what have you done to solve the problem? If you're going to send the army into Mitchell's Plain, right, because there's a gang war, so you're going to send the army into Mitchell's Plain. You're not solving the problem, you're just sending the army. That's not a solve. You're not solving the root of the cause. Yeah. What are you doing by that army, Casper, wat ook al waar hy intrek? That lightie, who's 7 years old, is walking past that same thing to school, going, yo, ons is so gevaarlik, die army moet vir ons go oppas. What are you leaving him with? What is his recourse? Where does he go?
Yeah, man.
And what does the rest of society do to help that specific issue that exists? So it is good for, and I really don't want to go into politics.
No, we're not going to go.
But it is good for, in my opinion, for a politician or for politicians, the government in general, to start solving the root. Stop going to just put the plaster over it quickly.
Here we go.
That wound is just festering under that plaster. It's the same with unemployment. It's the same with load shedding. It doesn't matter what it is. We need to solve the root.
What is the root? How do we solve the root? I've got a suggestion.
Look, it's a historical issue that we're sitting with. It's a forced removal people that's bunched up together in a corner. Something like this. If you told one thing for long enough, it becomes hereditary. If you told something for long enough, if you told you are that for long enough, sooner or later you're going to start believing it.
I believe that in the past there was more, not maybe in the past, I don't know. The more that we invest in our kids, that is how we solve the
Yes.
root of this problem.
Yes.
So the more that, like I said, I do better, I make sure my kids do better. And in other ways, like why in our communities, like, or whenever, why is there no programs? Why is there no drama programs? Why is there less and less? Why are they cutting off funding for drama programs, arts, like martial arts, all these programs? There's less and less and less of this. They rather send in a Casper than send in a drama teacher. You know what I mean? Do like you saying, I think go to the root of the problem, and that's by focusing on the kids and moving forward.
But that's
I don't know.
And I think we fail that our government has failed in that a lot, and that's education. Education and health. That's what we need, right? We need schools. I still believe that the world is going to change the day a grade 1 teacher is the highest paid job in the land.
That is that's a good place to invest your money.
The world is going to change that day. If that becomes a specialized job, if teachers are put above and beyond where they are today, if we start acknowledging and realizing that we're all sitting here, we all went to school, we were all influenced and taught by different people. You know, sometimes you see your teacher for longer than you see your parents.
Yeah. And I mean, you testament to that. You had a good, knowledgeable granddad that was there, that maybe taught you. It was that positive influence in your life carries through. Or if you have a good teacher, if you have like a dope teacher, you can remember your best teacher. You're like, yo, that teacher instilled like such in, or that art teacher told me I was so dope. For me, it was art. Like, I'm bad at art. But there was one teacher that marked me well in what you call a visual diary. And because of that, I passed matric, and now I'm a graphic designer today.
You see,
you know what I mean? But there was one person that I had said, wait, this guy, he can come up with ideas. So there's one person. If there's more of that in our communities, like you said, then maybe it is paying the educators more. But yeah, I don't know if that day is gonna come, Christo.
well, we can pray.
Tell me, you got into We're talking about education. You directed some Takalani Sesame episodes.
I did. I directed.
So you worked in some education
season. Of
see that segue there,
Takalani Sesame.
You check that segue.
You're one of the best. You are one of the best.
I just completed the Takalani Sesame special as well. I've got a great love for kids, and I've got a great love for education, and I've got a great love for that type of stories, for educational TV, educational theater, you know, that doesn't just entertain, but it educates, it edutains.
Edutains.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I watch my kids watching it, and I can see what it does to them. It's also good that I do make TV that my kids can watch, or do a play that your kids can watch.
So the Takalani episodes, like, you directed. How do you direct it? What is your can you
look? They're Muppets. They don't have an eye line, right? They can't. Their eyes don't move. For one, that's the tricky part. So you can't just put the camera here and expect. No, we will look towards the camera. You can't look there. You need to. But no, it's a very intricate process. Believe it or not, the whoever is the Muppeteer that is controlling Elmo.
Okay.
His name is Damon Barry.
Okay.
He's one of the international Elmos, because they've got the voice and hiya friends. They've got that, right? So it's not just anybody who can be Elmo. And so the hand goes into the Muppet, then he has to be on a little skateboard, almost like, but they call it the donut, with wheels, and he's got monitors around him. So while he's busy doing this up here, controlling the Muppet, he needs to look at the lines, check the monitors, check on what camera he is, and still move that Muppet around.
Oh, so he's multitasking while he's busy talking.
It is probably one of the most tricky and technical things that I have encountered in my existence. But once you get it, you know, once you crack it, you crack it. So it was a very interesting process. You direct the Muppet. You're directing Elmo. You can't see him. You can only see the Muppet, right? But then sometimes the Muppet needs to be controlled in such a way that you can't see there's a human behind him. So they're all dressed in black or dressed in whatever the set would be.
Like a
so that
green
if he
screen
pops
or
up,
something.
it's almost like a green screen, but not, because I shot on a live set. This special, I took the Muppets on location. So the Muppets were outside in an actual location with human beings. You know, and a Muppet can't just suddenly grow taller because the shot size is not working. That's why you lens it differently. As you would know, as a photographer, you start lensing it differently.
use different lenses.
So you would shoot, you'd shoot a 2-shot on a 200mm lens with the camera 20 meters away from wherever the subject is, so that you can frame them properly.
Okay.
Because obviously, if you go the wider lens you go, if you can't shoot a Muppet on a 35mm.
Okay.
You can shoot 50 and up.
Okay.
I don't know why I'm saying that to everybody who's listening.
You're losing. You're getting a bit super technical. Okay, so you doing all those technical aspects and checking making sure that everything gets done from a directing sense like that. I thought you do like help the actor.
I do help the actor.
You do help the actor.
I do go, okay, right, and now today we're going to build a castle. And then together with the actor, you'll figure out how you're going to build this castle, because the Muppet's hands doesn't open and close.
And you work with the writers as well. This is like writers.
Yes.
Obviously,
work
you must
closely with the writers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you give input into writing the episode?
As the producer, yes, you have to. But then you'll get a writer to write it, and then I'll go out and direct it myself, because it's a lot of fun.
Have you ever put the Easter egg of your kids in one of the things, like a tribute to them or something like that? Like one thing you picked up from them?
No, I've had Elmo wish my kids happy birthday. I've had, I've done things like that.
You super dad,
So, yeah.
You beat me, bro.
I love Elijah. Happy birthday. And then you go to school and you show it to everybody. And everybody
Check this out. Like,
everybody goes,
you're Elmo. Personally.
No, my daddy is. Like my teacher, my son's teacher asked him so, because they went around the class. It's probably not appropriate for a podcast, but anyway, they went around the class and they said, so what is your daddy's favorite thing? And one guy said, rugby. And what is your daddy's favorite thing in the world? My cricket. And they came to my son and they went, and what is your daddy's favorite thing in the world? And he went, beer. Which had me reconsider my stand as a father.
Have you any interest in getting them into?
My son shot a film with me in the beginning of the year. He had a small part in that, called Second Shot, Tweede Skoot. And then he was in he shot an ad with I can't remember the brand, but it was for the netball World Cup we had in South Africa. And then he was in another small part for me now in a feature film I directed called Red Zone. It was set in Westbury. And now I've got one episode that I have to shoot for a Showmax thing that I'm directing. And he'll play the son in that.
Sure.
So, yeah. So he's worked a lot this year.
Yeah, but so you directing quite a bit like now. Is that like your main? Are you mainly directing nowadays?
My main job is I work as a development producer. Okay. So I get an idea, I start the idea up. And then from there you take the idea, you pitch the idea, you see if you can sell the idea. And then once they hook onto the idea, it becomes something else. Your job becomes, do you direct it yourself? Do you not?
Okay. Depending on the scope
certain
of the
episodes
movie.
Of this new thing I'm doing, I will direct. A lot of the time I'll direct either the first 2 and the last 2, or I'll direct the middle 4, or I'll direct. But it's always good if you're central to the story to always try and keep the control of where the story is being steered.
When did you first start directing? Was it Seven Line?
For television,
Yeah.
Seven Line was the first directing thing I did. For theatre, I've done quite a bit.
I mean, that's quite an accomplishment. You were an actor on Seven Line, right?
Then I quit, and then I
quit?
didn't want. Yeah, I didn't want to play Errol anymore, so I quit. Because I made a decision to stop acting and only focus on writing.
Okay.
And then after I quit Errol, I was about to now embark on this new journey when Danny Oudendal said to me, listen, you directing theatre anyway, why don't you come direct here? And then I went, oh, yeah, okay, directing Sevenland, it's a tough job, you know, it's soapy directing or multicam directing in a studio is probably soaps in general is probably the toughest job for everyone involved in a soap.
Why?
Because that actor is there every day for 12 hours.
Oh, it's
All those
long
lines,
hours.
that whole crew, keeping a story fresh, keeping a character fresh, having to go through that whole rigmarole, not enough time. Yes, we've got time. No, we don't have time anymore. All of those things accumulate, you know. That's why I personally have a lot of respect for people who make a soap, especially the actors on that thing and the guys who direct it, who has to script all those shots, who has to...
Do you do any rewrites? Like, does somebody even say, nah, rewrite it like episode or something like that?
Yes. Yes, the director can call a rewrite on a scene, but normally if an episode has to be rewritten, that should come from the producer.
Okay.
But I can tell you one thing, it is a very hard job. It's difficult.
Have you ever needed to rewrite or anything like that on Seven? Have you ever needed to rewrite or anything like that on Seven Alive? For something like that?
Yes, yes. We've had to change things when you realize the week before you have to start shooting, oh, there's a script continuity mistake. This guy can't be in the scene, but it's too late because that guy is now running through 3 episodes. Then those 3 episodes needs to be rewritten because you need to write out that character. Or the actor gets pneumonia. You can't shoot with the actor.
Yeah.
Or the one actor played action cricket. That's really happened. I played action cricket for long.
Yeah.
Action cricket and five-a-side soccer. And we were playing, and the guy who played Cabello, Sekwati Tsubani, I will never forget, I was still directing the next day. And we were playing, and he went on without a ball box. Without one. And this is action cricket, my bro. It's a vinnige game. En hulle bowl hy bara binne in die eiers. You just see him drop. So the next day he gets to work, tries to be as professional as possible, really tries to make his way through the scene, because he's got a whole day of shooting still ahead of him. And suddenly, you know, if your manhood has been touched like that, but the ball of act, does he a joke here? Yes. And the 1 minute, he just starts sweating, and he drops. He just drops flat on his bum. And he sits there and you can see this guy is in agony. And he's been trying to keep this up for an hour now. Then you have to go back in and say that, listen, we can either call the day or we can rewrite the scenes.
So you rewrite the scenes?
Then you rewrite the scenes, yeah. Then you start taking his dialogue, giving it to other people, or you take a different character that can be in Oppie Coffee or wherever it is, and you put that person in the scene. But that's the advantage of being on a soap. If you make a series, you can't do that. It's too difficult. It's too tricky to just take someone and put them in a scene to replace another character.
Sure. Tell me about your show starting in the Baxter. Let's talk about that. Orphans.
Yes. Orphans is a play that was written by Lyle Kessler 40 years ago in 1983.
1983.
Yeah. And Orphans has since then, in the last 40 years, been performed in a lot of countries all over the world, even in Japan. I got hold of the book many years ago, and the play was just shelved. It was just there. And about 4 years ago, I read it again, and I went, wow, this is really a play I'd like to do. But 4 years ago, I was making Spoorloos Steinhoff, and I was making the sequel to that, The Eiland, and I was very involved in television at the time.
You sound very busy.
So I was too busy to do it. My blessings are blessed.
Yeah, that's good. It's good to be busy. It's good to be busy.
And the moment, then I came back to the Baxter to come do Platform 9 Part 3, Platform 9 Homecoming, last year in December. And before that, I contacted the Baxter and I said, listen, I've got a play I'd like to come in to pitch to you guys. I'm sitting with this play. It's by this author. It's an American play, and I think the Baxter can be a perfect place for it. Then I went in through the whole procedure. You go in, you pitch the play. They decide. They come back. You have another meeting about the play. They see if they can get the rights, if they're interested in the play, that whole thing. And then last year, March, this year, March, they said, okay, cool. We can do the play, but you need to do it in September. You need to start rehearsing in September. And by then I had so much to do to get to the end of the year. But if the moment I get an opportunity to do a play, I tend to drop everything around me.
Okay.
To go do the play, especially if it's at the Baxter, because the Baxter is where a lot of us were born.
Yeah, I mean, it's
where a lot of us are from. You know, it's like it's got a lot of culture to it.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of heritage.
Yes.
It's where my grandfather performed. You know, it's where I came to. The first time I went to a rehearsal there with my grandfather, I was 6.
Sure.
So I've been running around in that building for many years. Sure. And then Orphans came about. And I then contacted the veteran Abdurrahman Adams
to ask him front and center.
If he would be interested in a play like this. And he said, yeah. He read the script, we went through, we had conversation, and he said, yeah, cool. We haven't worked together for quite a while. I think the last play Abdurrahman was in Bullets Over Bishop Lavis that I wrote in 2010. That was also
I want to talk about that as well.
And then Abdurrahman was in a play 2 years ago that I also wrote called As He See a Bait that my uncle Peter John directed. And then after that, you know, I started the process of getting Stephanie Rasmus and Christian Bennett and to get the cast right, because I always believe if the cast is right, then 70% of the work is done. And
what's the play about?
The play is about 2 brothers, 2 orphans who grow up in Woodstock. The mother died when the youngest brother was a baby, and the elder brother was about 6 years old. So it's centered around these 2 orphans that raised themselves in Gympie Street in Woodstock. So as they grew older, they realized that, or not undiagnosed, the younger brother Philip is autistic. So the older brother he goes out every day to pickpocket people so that he can come home with Maggie's 2-minute noodles and mayonnaise, because that's all his brother eats. One night he strikes a nice hit, and he strikes a nice hit, he meets a guy, he goes out to celebrate, he meets this guy at a bar. And he checks out this guy and he goes, ooh, vanaand laat ons die jackpot. And he lures this guy to his house, because now we're going to rob him better because it's at home, right? Not just pickpocketing now, this is a proper robbery. And then they kidnap the guy, they hold him there, not knowing that they just invited the most wanted gangster of Cape Town into their house. And how does that play off?
Okay, and then the dialogue runs off.
But thematically, the story is centered in fatherhood, you know. It's centered in brotherhood. It's centered in the void.
So the original book that you read, where was it based in?
North Philadelphia.
Okay.
And Chicago.
Okay, and you adapted it to
what it feels
I like that you made it your own. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what
I like that.
I think that's what we all try and do, right? We all read a play or read a script or write a script about an existing story, but you still try very hard to give it an authenticity that comes from you. And the thing with this play, why I was so attracted to this play, I come from a family of 5 brothers. And this play deals with brotherhood firstly.
Okay. So it's the relationship.
It's the relationship between brothers first, you know. Who's looking after who when, and when is it your turn to look after me?
Yeah.
It's the fights that brothers have. It's the love that brothers have. It's because you can't just cut off the love.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like a friend you can say, okay, and there you're out of my life. That's one thing. But blood does something else. Yeah. So when this man enters their house, a void of structure that has suddenly entered into the house of orphans does something different to them. Because the dramatic question of this play is nature stronger than nurture? Or is nurture stronger than nature? Because if this is in my nature to be like this, will nurture that enters that space be able to reverse that?
Yeah. This is a age-old
Yes.
discussion.
Yes.
There's this. Somebody told me recently the story. It was quite interesting about a adopted kid. So this baby was adopted, and before this lady told this couple, listen, don't adopt that baby because they suspect that kid, something happened to the kid. Anyway, years went on, and the kid then grew up and was very, very rebellious. So it's almost like something happened to the kid when it was a baby, and it's almost like in his nature that it was gonna be like, I don't know, like difficult, even though it had nurture, the upbringing of a good couple. Anyway, it's just an interesting take on things.
You know, it's but with orphans as well, it's as men, right? We as humans we flawed. You know, and how does a flawed man raise a kid to become a man?
Ooh, brah.
How do you do that? Because I'm a father of two, and I think about that a lot. You know, how do I raise this boy to become a man? Because we human beings struggle in general. Doesn't matter who we are, what we do, we struggle.
Yeah.
We struggle mentally, we struggle emotionally. It's just who we are. It's how we are put together. But in that, who is it that we are raising?
Yeah.
You know, someone once, I don't know where I read it, but I read a book, and I can't remember what the name is now, where the kid said, where the parent said, because he's got problem. Oh, now I know what the story is. I just can't remember the book. Where the father says to him, "Don't worry, all children mess up their kids." And you go, what? And then he starts telling the story about his father, who was this great guy, just wanted to give him the best, and that somehow by doing all of that, there was a different pressure on him, and that messed him up.
Yeah.
But he had the best father.
Yeah.
And now because of that thing that he's suffering from, he's struggling to raise this guy. So he's about to mess this guy up.
Yeah, it's a real complex thing, because I feel like it. I don't know, sometimes if I look back at like how my dad raised me, I think, yo, he did like the best job he done.
Yeah.
But sometimes I was like, yo, you messed up there a little bit, bruh. But then I look at myself and it's like, yo, I'm trying to do the best job possible, and I'm also looking at myself, yo, I am messing up a lot along the way, man. You know what I mean? But I am trying my best, so it's like, I don't know, it's a difficult one. Like, it's how do you
Parenthood is
because we are flawed.
Yeah, parenting is the scariest thing that has ever happened to me in my life.
Definitely, bruh. Definitely.
Yeah.
But it's also the best, though.
It was also the best thing.
It gives you the best rewards. Like,
It does.
you know what I mean? Like, I see my kids like smile, or just these moments where they do awesome things or something like that. I got this message like a few weeks ago from my my son's teacher. And the teacher wrote, there was a school disco, right? And this teacher wrote, like, she wrote this message. Now, my son is not the best of behaved guys most of the time, but he tries his best. But what happened at the school disco was that they had these glow sticks, right? So they were all playing with these glow sticks, and this one girl, hers got lost. And my son took his glow stick and gave it to her without anybody asking or saying or anything like that. And the teacher just said, like, listen, this is an awesome thing. This girl was crying, and he comforted by giving her a glow stick. And like, just to get something like that, like from somebody, man, like, yo, my boy is actually taking some of the goodness and putting it forward. Like, so yeah, I felt like proud in that moment. So maybe sometimes I'm doing dope stuff. You want to play that?
No. Can I send my son something yesterday, man?
You sent him something.
Yeah, but I would like you guys to actually just see it. Just check this out.
Every father and son goes through three different phases. First phase, the son idolizes father. Second phase, the son demonizes father. Okay, I don't know if you have kids. I think demonizes the father. And then the third phase is what? The son finally humanizes the father and says, you know what? He ain't perfect. Neither am I. I'm making mistakes. Now I understand what he went through. Let me give him a call. Let me understand it.
100% spot on there. Yeah, that is it. Like 100% the nail in it. I mean, we all try to do our best as fathers. Like, and this is an awesome story that I think you're telling with those orphans. Like, I'm keen to come check it out sometime.
Thanks.
Yeah, so it's starting at the Baxter on the 13th.
It's starting at the Baxter on the 11th.
On the 11th, okay.
Yeah, and it runs for long. No, I think it runs till the end of till the 2nd of October.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and anything else you got cooking in store for us? Like you got a few movies in the barrel or something like
I've got some things happening here.
Yeah, but you can't say.
I'm busy editing a feature film that I shot called Red Zone.
What is it? Can you tell us a bit about it?
Not a lot.
Okay.
But it's set in Westbury, in Johannesburg.
Johannesburg. Where do you live now?
In Johannesburg.
Are you still living? Oh, so you just down here
I'm
now?
just here for the play.
For the play. Oh, okay. So you just staying another for the play.
Yeah.
Okay, man. Yeah. Is there anything else you wanna
No,
cover?
there's nothing from my side. But thanks. It was a nice chat.
Nice. It was a good chat,
Appreciate
man. Sometimes we talk politics, but that's on a Monday night for another show. But it always seems to go there. But we always come full circle, man. I mean, I just want to say thank you for coming on, and thank you for being such an awesome role model, man. I mean, you and your crew from Cruise. Is it Cruise? Kairos, you and all of those talented individuals, man. You guys are doing the dope thing because you are positive role models, like on TV. I mean, people say like colored people are always depicted in these roles, but I see a lot of positivity in what we're doing there. Yeah. I mean, there's so much great things that colored people are doing and how they're rising, telling our story more and more. What we doing here on this podcast, we are also just trying to tell our story, but in a different way, in a different format. Trying to celebrate dope people like you that by having you on, and other kids or whoever else can watch this and they can say, oh, if Christo can do it and joeZONE can do it and Nantel can do it, we can also build our own thing. And that's how we aim to grow. You know, we're not just like I said, I'm not just sitting at home and talking kak. I'm trying to we trying to positively make a change. And I see by you and your plays and the stuff you produce and direct, you're trying to do the same. You're trying to positively create a positive change like in society. And yeah, thanks for that, man.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anything else, Nantel?
No, I'm good. Thanks for letting the show.
Yeah.
You guys.
It's a good one.
This one.
Good.
Please like, share, and subscribe. Safe. We out.